silent. Filming and photography are not permitted. Anyone observed to be filming the meeting may be asked to leave. Now declare the meeting open at 7 p.m. A request was received from Councillor Smith to attend this meeting by audio-visual link in accordance with clause 6.21 of the Code of Meeting Practice. Therefore, I move the following procedural motion. The committee approves the request by Councillor Smith to attend the Environmental Planning Committee meeting on 1 July 2025 at 5 p.m. At 7 p.m. That's that long. By audio-visual link because she is unable to attend in person due to personal reasons. Seconder?
Seconded.
Seconded by Councillor Walsh. Any discussion? Any opposition? Put it. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Okay, warm welcome to everyone in attendance and those watching along at home tonight. I'll do the acknowledgement of country, acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we live, work and play, pay our respects to Dark and Junk country and elders past and present. We recognise the continued connection to these lands and waterways and extend this acknowledgement of the lands and stories of those who will also call this place home. We recognise our future leaders and the shared responsibility to care for and protect our place and people. I don't believe there are any apologies and we've got all the councillor members present. Close of interest. I'm not going to go around the room. Has anyone got a disclosure? I couldn't see there was anything in there that's likely to cause a disclosure. So if nobody's got one, we'll note that there have been no disclosures.
Non-members have to declare a conflict.
You should
have one.
You should, yes. In fact, it is required, is my opinion. Yes, I'm sure I couldn't imagine, I couldn't say there's anything like, of course. Before we start, I just did want to, I'm sure on behalf of echoing everyone here tonight, put out our thoughts and our best wishes and prayers to those people particularly affected at North Entrance and Womble tonight, and obviously other people affected by this wild weather. I assume, there'll be trees down, all sorts of consequences for it. But just coming to the coastal erosion, I mean, what to me this indicates is the planning system is totally failed in dealing with particularly people's private property and their ability to protect it. And I have already spoken to the director about this, and I believe something's got to go into the emergency sub-plan, which is on exhibition, but that'll be a matter for when it comes back from exhibition. And, I think well done, at least that we got the CMP out on exhibition, because, again, what this has highlighted is we need to have some solutions in place to start applying for grants and doing some of the work that will prove a benefit in the future. Okay, so we're now on to, does anyone else want to say anything about those events? So I'll now move on to the minutes. Is everyone happy with the minutes? Somebody want to move that they be accepted? Thank you, Councillor Merlin. Seconded. Councillor Castles, I'll get you on your run sheet.
Okay, for both minutes, Mr. Chair. There's two sets of minutes, the third and
yes, just the two sets of minutes. Yes, thank you.
Move from both.
And Councillor Castles, you happy with both of them?
Oh yes, that's
thank you. Fine. All right, any discussion of that? I'll put that. All those in favour say aye. Oh, yeah, raise your hand. Yep, carried unanimously. Okay, we're up to the exception. So I would have thought, and I'm happy to be corrected, that we don't necessarily need to deal with item 19110. Fire reports, we could do them by way of exception if there's no.
I've got a question about the fire report.
No, well, we won't do that one. So that's
It's only a quick
110. Is there anyone want? Sorry, that's 19. Anyone want 110? So that
I had a question about 110, just a minor question.
That's fine.
Yep.
No, we won't do that by exception. What about 19? Is everyone happy to do that by exception?
Mr. Chair, I'm just scrolling through the 19.
Is that the fire?
The other fire one at West Gosford.
No issue with that one.
And what about the DA statistics 114, or do you want questions on that?
Yes, I've got a,
Okay,
speak to that one, please.
so it only looks like 19 we're going to do by the exception. So wants to move that we deal with that one by exception. Moved by Councillor Merlin, seconded by Councillor Stamp. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Carried unanimously. Okay, we do have presentations on 1.5 and 1.6. Why is that got with it? Sorry, thank you, I'm happy to be corrected. 1.7 and 1.8, yes. So it's here, it's got. Yeah, that's right. All right, so we're on to, sorry, I'm 1.5, correct? So has the director got any comments on this?
Councillors, just noting that council's delegated authority for the Environmental Planning Committee to endorse the terms of reference. So that's the first one. So it's proposed that you endorse them. I just wanted to make a correction into the report. The proposal is that the committee would meet on Tuesdays in 12 till 2. So I'm trying to get it during the day. And then we're looking to do it largely on the 5th Tuesday. So it's a day that doesn't have a council meeting, or in some months there are other opportunities, but we're trying to find
But they often
places
not be a fifth Tuesday. Wouldn't they often not be a fifth Tuesday?
we think if you do it every 3 months, we've been able to find one every 3 months. Yep. So I wanted to mention that if you approve the terms of reference, we then go out to expressions of interest for community members, and then the councillors on the committee would come together to resolve the community membership, and then we'd advise the community members of the actual time frame. So we're sort of saying committing to the Tuesday at this stage, we're recommending it be quarterly and starting in September. At this stage, it's probably best not to resolve specific dates. We'll actually resolve that before we get the community members.
Okay, so it's open. Oh, I suppose we need to move it first. Councillor Stanton is moving it. Is he seconder? So is you seconding that, Councillor Smith?
No, I just had some comments or some.
That's fine. I'll come to you as soon as we've got a motion.
Yep.
I'll make a second motion.
All right, second by Councillor Merland. Councillor Stanton, you want to speak to it?
Just to say that I'm very happy that it's coming here tonight and we can resolve this and we can get this moving. Just a small correction on the director, just to say that the delegation to this particular committee is both for the draft terms of reference tonight and the EOIs. When we get that back, that will also come to this same Environmental Planning Committee to decide the membership. Be on our way.
Councillor Merland?
I've got a comment.
Yes, Councillor Smith?
Yeah, look, I just request a couple of changes to the terms of reference. Firstly, this committee is an initial period of 2 years. I'd like to see it for the term of council. Now that's different to the Mangrove Mountain Committee, which I'm happy with for 2 years. But this Coastal Estuary Committee aligns with the requirement to have a committee for this kind of planning. So it just seems like a waste of effort to have to go through this process in 2 years when we require this committee to be established anyway. So that's my first point. The second point is on the quorum. I think the quorum for both committees is saying, I think half the number of councillors and half the number of community members need to be in attendance. I don't think that's an ideal arrangement. I would request that the quorum be half the number of committee members with at least one councillor in attendance. So I wonder if the group would consider that. I think they were the main changes. I am concerned about these committees only meeting quarterly. I don't think that is sufficient. I would like to see them meet bi-monthly as a minimum, and any additional meetings be determined by the committee if they felt they needed another meeting in between times. So, I welcome comments, but I'd probably move that as an amendment unless there's sort of broad consensus.
Before you do that, that's fine, Councillor Smith. I just thought we might ask the first point about the term, might ask the director to comment on that.
Councillors, I don't think there's a problem for having it for the full council term. Okay, that's what you want.
But statutory, there has got to be some sort of flood planning committee.
Yes, that's correct.
So that seems to me to make sense.
Yeah, so it's recommended.
Deductive guidelines.
So you want to have it for at least 2 years, but if you want to have it for a longer period, that's not a problem.
So Councillor Stanton, you happy to accept that change?
To accept that particular change.
So we've got one, Councillor Smith.
Yep.
The quorum, I think that's a matter of interpretation. I guess I read it as, and again, we might get one of the staff, whoever did it, to comment, that you added the two together and then it was half of the councillor members and the public members, and then it was half of that total, if that total's 11 or something and 6. Is that the way it worked, or have I got it wrong?
That's the way I believe it's drafted. The total, at least half of the total of the membership, regardless whether they're councillors or community members. But I don't. Whether if the council wanted to take a different direction, then there's no real issue.
So Councillor Smith, if that's the interpretation, then to get to that, you'd have to have more than one councillor present.
All right, so can we maybe just get, it's 9.1 in the terms of reference. So it says a quorum shall be the majority of councillor members and community representatives, half plus one, rounded down to the nearest whole number. Then maybe it needs to also explicitly say with at least one councillor present.
You can't get to that number.
Oh, okay, you are correct. Yeah, you are correct. Yep. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So
All right.
we're down to one issue, quarterly or bi-monthly. What's the about that, Councillor Stanton?
Yeah, I think we have discussed this. I think quarterly for this particular committee is okay to begin with. There is the opportunity to call extraordinary meetings, and I believe that that's already included in the draft terms, and that's what we do as a general council in general. I think the other issue is we have a lot of committees and we have a scheduling concern, and we wish to have this particular committee on a Tuesday to align with these schedules. It's difficult to find another Tuesday where this fits in. It's got to be a daytime, as we have a lot of external members coming to this committee as well, and it's a big committee. So the staff have worked pretty hard to try to find dates that could work for staff and councillors, which is how they've come up with this 5th Tuesday. And we might have some trouble finding that 5th Tuesday in other months.
Okay, so I think that's not accepting that. So Councillor Smith, did you want to move that?
No,
part?
no, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Any other debate on this then? I had a couple of questions myself, just on the membership of the and from the external agencies. Why do we need New South Wales State Emergency Service to come, and why do we need the University of Newcastle? If they have value, it's fine, but I couldn't understand what value they added.
I mean, I can't answer this as an official person, but I can imagine that the SES is a fairly important body to have. I mean, they've been on the ground all day today. So I think when we're talking about coastal erosion and flooding, the SES is a very important organisation to be.
I think that's true, and also just keeping up to date with anything that's happening and what interest they have.
I'm not sure about the university though.
Well,
It's really to the staff. Sorry.
I know, I just think off
That's
the top
fine.
of my head, SES is pretty important for this committee.
Sorry, can I just ask the staff
Yes.
specifically the area of UON that you were looking at including here in terms of like your school or whichever one?
Yep. So firstly, just in response, I think we're on the money, councillor Stanton with the SES. Historically, they haven't always attended every meeting, but perhaps their attendance might be driven by the agenda for that particular meeting. The University of Newcastle, I couldn't tell you the name of the particular area. We have had attendance, and perhaps one of the councillors that was on the previous committee might be able to advise if they remember. We've had attendance from one of the professors there who is a specialist in estuarine health and environmental matters and things like that, and has provided significant advice in the past.
I'm thinking I've heard that gentleman at one of the community blood community lagoon meetings, and yeah.
So just on that, the representatives from other agencies, the way I read this is that it wouldn't be, correct me if I'm wrong, but it wouldn't be that at every meeting all of these various agencies or organisations would be invited. It would be selected as to who might be, depending on what's on the agenda. Is that how people are seeing it when they look at this?
Yes, councillor, what would happen is it's probably driven by what's on the agenda.
That's what I'm saying. So what's on the agenda
That
would drive it.
University of Newcastle as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, as well. I mean,
So why
yes.
not have them on there?
Yeah,
Like-
but all I'm saying is if every single organisation who is obviously got expertise and obviously can be incredibly helpful with this process was at every meeting, it's going to be like insane, frankly. So it's going to have to be based on what's on the agenda to some extent, isn't it? Or if we want a special guest to come and speak with us about something in particular.
I think
How we're seeing
I
it.
think so. I think as well, the wording of this particular clause, it says will be invited by the CEO,
Yeah,
as subject matter experts and advisors. That does imply that
yeah.
they're not always going to be necessary in a particular case, but
No,
I think having the opportunity to have as many listed as possible
yes.
seems worthwhile. But in the case where something
No, I think
arises
it's
and they were
very good.
relevant,
Yeah. No, it's really good. Making sure we know what we're doing here. That's all.
I mean, it's a big committee, not be a big room.
Yeah.
If we had it.
Okay, well, we come back to the motion, which I think we just need a little bit of amending to. So if we can, whilst we've got Councillor Smith on the full screen, which is.
The resolution.
Oh, sorry, am I able to?
No, it's
speak?
not you. It's not you, it's
Oh.
us. Just waiting for the recommendation to come back on the screen because it'll just need slight amendment.
But while you're doing that, could I maybe also say I would still like these subcommittees to submit their reports to the full ordinary council. I don't see the point in it coming via this committee. We've got then three different channels considering the same information, which seems to be not very efficient. I would like to suggest that.
I think that was a resolution of council.
So we're sticking with resolutions of council, Councillor Eaton?
Until they're rescinded, yes.
Okay, good to know.
Sorry, we're still. Okay. Yeah, so we need to put that for the term of council, which I would have thought says something like, scroll down a little bit to go to the first one.
The quorum comes out
No, the quorum's fine. That was part's okay.
in the amendment.
Council notes. Yeah. Yeah, so then at the end, just amended to be that the committee be for the full term of council. No, we don't need that part.
I didn't accept that.
It's got to say amended.
I think just amended as follows, 1.1.
That'll work.
If you could just, I think the easiest solution is
Sorry. That's good.
the 1.1 used to change 2 to 4.
Oh, it's on the.
It's already on the, it's already on the draft terms.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so there we are.
It's already in the draft terms of 1.1. So it's just changing 2 to 4 and taking out initial.
And we don't need the last sentence, the one about the quorum that can be deleted. So you happy with that, councillor Stanton and councillor Merlin? Is there any more discussion? Not, I'll put it. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Vote unanimously. Uh, 1.6 is the Mangrove Mountain one, and I'll just advise that there's a amended report that came out late today with some fairly minor changes in it, I thought, but I might ask the director just to speak to the current.
Councillors, so we've had a bit of a technical difficulty, but if you look at the version that it was on the table, but also was emailed to all the committee members. It's reasonably similar. It's just got a few amendments in there to be consistent with the approach for the terms of reference for other committees. And that we've strengthened up the eligibility requirements for the membership. So they're the two main things. In the same way as the other terms of reference, if we adopt terms of reference, we go back to council for endorsement, and then we go to an EOI for community.
Sorry, Chair, could I just ask the director to read out the changes since I didn't have a chance to compare the latest version?
Yes. Did you hear that, director? Can you read out the changes? Do you know, or one of your staff can assist? The one I noticed was that it didn't previously have, I think, frequency of the meetings.
If I can ask Sharon Mitchell just to tell us more detail about the changes.
So there's some refinement of some of the words throughout the terms of reference that makes it consistent with the terms of reference that have been provided. So the catchments one as well that we've just looked at. Specifically, there's changes in the 3.7 for representatives, and it's just some minor word changes in there. In section 4.
Sorry, could you read out 3.7 then, please?
3.7 is representatives from the following government agencies, academia, research bodies and industry will be invited by the CEO to join the subcommittee as subject matter experts and advisors to provide technical information and advice to the subcommittee in relation to agenda items that are otherwise more generally within the scope of the subcommittee functions. These
Sorry,
bodies will
I'm
be-
looking at a document that has a significantly different 3.7 that says subcommittees have no decision-making authority. Any recommendations are made by group consensus. What, am I looking at the wrong thing?
Just grab my version.
This is the main update.
Yeah, so that is significant. So those points have been changed there. So 3.1 is slightly different, but it has been combined with 3.2 there to clarify what the makeup of the committee is.
Sorry, do we have a
3.2.
version with track changes or anything that can be sent around?